I'm going to tell you a story. I don't think I've ever told you. I was dating this guy. I'm not going to say his name on camera. And I knew I was going to break up with him that day. And I just was like looking for a nice way to break up with him, you know? And we were in Santa Monica walking at the beach. And this lady was like, "Oh, you're such a beautiful couple."
Don't say that.
No, wasn't my response. I was like, "Oh, thank you," you know. And then afterwards, he was like, "Oh, that's so kind of you. Like, we were like a nice looking couple." People say that to us, and
little did they know
that
today you're gonna break up with me.
And so I don't know. I think I broke up with him. I'm not sure if it's that day. But when I started to think about, because he was like, he liked to hold me in public. Like every time we went out, like he would want to hold my hand, he would, you know, so.
And you let him. Mm-hmm. Oof, that stings a little bit.
Because,
yeah, because it took me a long time before you'd hold my hand in public. But okay. I'll get over it. I'm going to breathe deep while you keep telling your story.
But then, so now when I'm jealous of other couples, I kind of think about that, you know, because I was not happy.
So then why do you feel jealous of other couples?
It's cute. Maybe I'm not jealous. Maybe it's just like cute when couples are kissing and like holding each other. And I just want to think like that's me all the time, but it's not.
It's not. But it's not them all the time either.
That's the pretend. I want to pretend that they are like that all the time.
Right.
And
so that's a little bit of the.
I want to live in my own utopia.
Okay.
Sometimes I tend to think I'm very optimistic, and I tend to think my brain tends to take me to a utopian world where people are just so loving and like relationship have no challenges. The world has no problem. Yeah.
There are couples who I think are enormously in love, but yet don't feel they need to share it. I mean, we talk in having lived in Kenya. Like we are definitely more affectionate than whether or not certainly most Kenyans. That's maybe a little bit different in like Nairobi or some of the big metropolises.
Younger Kenyans, like older, like people like in our age category tend to show up affection on the street, but younger ones.
Mm-hmm. Or even like when in social gatherings. You know, you almost wouldn't know who was whose husband and whose wife at a party. The women also would go and do their thing. The men would do their thing. And you had a few cousins that mentioned like how we interact as being like, well, one of them said she loved it, but also pointed out that it was unusual.
Yeah, maybe unusual and like uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, because it's just something they're not used to.
Yeah, I tend to not be on, I think, the affection side.
No, well, it took you about a year and a half or 2 years before you would even hold my hand in public.
Oof, that sounds. No, I was holding your hand in public.
No, you would, and then you'd be like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" And you'd pull it away.
That's not true.
It is 100% true. But then there's just sort of like this thing that we put out there. So like yesterday at the park, we saw, you know, there are people there who were then like, you know, who were being very affectionate, and then people who probably loved each other just as much that weren't. And I'm one of the questions that I'm kind of wondering is how often and or like how important is it to sort of put on a bit like what we put out into the world. I told my brother the other day, I went over and I was like, I was being an idiot. You know, we had a little argument, and then I decided I had this like realization that I thought might help clarify something for you.
Okay.
So I on my way to my brother's house, I called you to share this revelation that I thought might help you understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling. However, instead of it elucidating the situation for you, you got defensive and you hung up and cried. And and I got in, walked to my brother's and was like, "Oh my God, I'm just an idiot." He asked me how I was doing. I was like, "Yeah, mostly pretty good. You know, today Sarah and I had a little argument, and then like a real winner, I decided I was going to call and clarify something on the phone when I knew today was just not going to be a good day." Sometimes there are just days that are not good days to have difficult conversations. This was one of those days. Why I somehow felt the need to try and resolve something on that day, I don't know. You know,
You were just
bad
feeling
idea.
enlightened, maybe.
Well, no, I was feeling enlightened until I called you and realized there is nothing quite like calling your girlfriend when you're fighting or having a challenging time to realize just how not enlightened you are. That's what I've found. If I'm ever feeling really good, like, man, I'm on top of my game, and then I start a fight with you, or we start arguing, then definitely that kind of brings me back down to the reality that enlightenment, I think, there's a reason why you've never heard of, like when you think of enlightenment, you generally think of like Thich Nhat Hanh or Alan Watts. Actually, I don't know if Alan Watts was married or not, but Thich Nhat Hanh wasn't married. Buddha, not married. Like
Christ,
Jesus, not married. So like
Muhammad married though.
How many? Did he have a lot of wives?
I don't know.
Huh.
I just know Asha, his first wife.
Okay. So if he had a first wife, that must have meant he had another one.
We should find out.
We should find out.
Well,
Then we would know that there is an exception to the rule that there have been enlightened men on the planet who were married
to more than one wife.
Yeah, maybe that would be the trick. Maybe that's the problem. Is you either need none or many.
Dude, but we can say he had more than one wife because we don't know that.
That's true.
So,
but so basically, like I went in and I was just like, he said, well, like, what happened? And I was like, he goes, or is it just that she's a woman and you're a man? I'm like, yeah, I guess like that was just kind of, there was actually something really like cathartic about that. And I don't mean to say that as like somehow because you're a woman, but just that when he's like, you're a woman and she's a woman and you're a man, is that there's just, that just like comes up in relationships. It just happens. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a big, this is what it was. It's just like stuff.
yeah. And we've been having a lot of stuff.
You're having stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so for you, the appearance, because we also put on appearance.
We do put on appearance.
And because I actually know that it is like, I actually care how people perceive my relationship.
You do?
I do.
I actually, no, that's different because I don't think I care how people perceive my relationship. Like, I don't care what people think.
Huh. Like, that's awesome. I wish I didn't, and I don't generally
what do you want people to think?
Like,
we got it together?
That we well, it's not that it's just that I don't want to feel like, I don't know. I guess I don't know
maybe
exactly.
Maybe like we're failing?
I definitely don't want anybody to think I'm failing. Like, that wouldn't feel good. Like, it was important to me, for example, well, actually, I'll go back. One of the things that I thought about when I was dating, the very few times in my life that I was dating, which was like when I was a teenager or when I was like in my early 40s before I met you, or late 30s, I guess, or before I met you, was like, how will this person fit into my life? How will they be received by my friends and my community and at this point, my children? So it's not even that it's like, is this a wonderful person? Like, I feel like basically everybody I dated was a lovely person. And even some people who are like, you're also like really good, you're good friends with a few of your exes, so like you clearly have, well, I'll go ahead and say this, like you have good choice in men. You have people that you still want to stay friends with, even when it didn't work out. And I felt like that too. But at the same time, I also was like, how is this person going to really fit into like the rest of my life? Because once you're together, like we are, like we go to each other's friends' houses. We go to parties for each other's friends' birthdays, for each other's friends, whatever. So like, there's definitely something that you have to be able to fit in, And so when I think of like what I want other people to perceive, part of that is like, do you perceive that like she's worthy of being of like coming to your party? Have I chosen well? Have I made it, a mistake that you're going to be like when you're like in bed with your partner that night thinking like, oh my God, can you believe like that she chose him or that he chose her? Like, yeah.
I'm surprised. Okay, so for me, I think like I actually don't think about it at all. It's just like I expect that my friends and family will accept whoever I'm dating.
Yeah.
So I don't think so much about them. I think about, for me, I think of them accepting, like, if they love me, then they should accept the person I'm with.
Yeah.
And whatever they think, I don't know. Do I really care?
Yeah, but like
My friends like you, so maybe if they didn't, like,
it would make life a little more challenging.
yeah, it would make life more. But I wouldn't say that I really thought about, like, when I was looking for people to date, I don't think I would be thinking like, what is my mom gonna think about this person?
Well, I definitely didn't think about that when I started dating, but when I was looking at like, okay, once it was somebody that I liked, it would be like, are you going to actually fit into my life, or are you not going to fit into my life as it is?
Yeah, or maybe because you have kids, maybe that's where it comes from.
I'm sure it has a bigger impact.
Because
yeah.
I just don't